2 commercials. Actually, 3.
I thought it was 3. Okay. My man. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Count me in. You ready, bro?
Yes, sir.
That's that movement, bro. Go ahead, man. Welcome to the My Brother's Keeper television show, where we ignite a spirit of excellence through mentoring, modeling, and multiplying. I'm thrilled to have you join us in on this day, which is a Tony the Tiger terrific Tuesday. It's simply great. And before we dive into today's empowering content, here are a few quick housekeeping rules. If you'd like to join us in this conversation, our call-in number, let me tell you, I promise you, you would want to call in to this conversation. And that number is 301-429-9247, 301-429-WBGR. Also, don't forget to like and share this broadcast with your network. And for even more inspiring content, head on over to My Brother's Keeper YouTube channel, where you can like and subscribe to stay updated on all of our latest episodes. So let's make today's show one to remember. All right, vote.org. With less than 87 days until vote November 5th, 2024, unapologetically sorry but not sorry, choosing progress over regression. Why voting for Kamala Harris is crucial. Let me digress. Why voting for Vice President Kamala Harris is crucial in the upcoming November 5th, 2024 elections. A significant portion of Congress seats will be on the ballot, totaling 468 across both chambers. This includes the election for approximately 1/3 of the Senate. 35 seats will be available, and 435 seats in the House of Representatives up for election. Also, this historical context is important. To date, there have been 12 African American senators in U.S. history, underscoring the ongoing importance of diversity and representation in our electoral process. Can you say with me today, ladies and gentlemen, #vote? Also, for those of us who are returning, I said for those of us who are returning citizens and their families, I implore you, I beseech you, I beg of you to engage in this electoral process, because it is crucial. Information on voting rights and specific state regulations can be found at vote.org. Also, just something to throw in there, some states, including Vermont, which is a 99.8% Caucasian, and Idaho, 81% Caucasian, allow individuals to vote even while serving time. This underscores the varying laws across the country and the importance of understanding our specific voting rights and requirements. Can you say with me, ladies and gentlemen, this is why we vote. Also, as the 2024 election approaches, it is imperative that every eligible voter understand the weight of their vote. This election isn't just another political exercise. It is a defining moment for our nation. The choice between Vice President Kamala Harris and former DT is not just a matter of policy, but a decision about the direction and soul of our country. Vice President Kamala Harris represents the spirit of progress, inclusivity, and resilience. She embodies the struggles and triumphs of countless Americans, particularly those who have been marginalized and overlooked. As a woman of color, Vice President Harris has faced the harsh realities of systemic discrimination, yet she has risen to become a powerful voice for justice. Voting for Vice President Harris is not just about electing a candidate, it's about standing with someone who understands the complexities of our lives and who fights for the rights and the dignity of all citizens. In a stark contrast, Donald Trump's legacy is marred by divisiveness, dishonesty, and a disregard for democratic norms. His presidency was riddled with scandals and actions that undermined the very fabric of our democracy. From insulting Gold Star families to disrespecting military traditions, Trump has shown a consistent pattern of behavior that disrespect the sacrifices made by so many for this country. His support of Project 2025, with its regressive policies on education, the environment, and immigration, threatens to roll back decades of progress. Project 2025, check this out, aims to reshape America in ways that would hurt the very foundation of equality and justice. Under this plan, educational reform could erode public school systems, healthcare could become less accessible to millions, and environmental protections could be stripped away. Ladies and gentlemen, I unapologetically support Vice President Kamala Harris in her run for the presidency of the United States. I make no apologies. This I am saying to you, if not now, then when? Let's do what is necessary. Again, his plan prioritizes the wealthy and the powerful. That's DT, leaving working class Americans and marginalized communities vulnerable. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, the time is always right to do what is right. In this election, doing what is right means choosing leadership that prioritizes the well-being of Americans over the interests of the few. It means electing a leader like Vice President Kamala Harris, who is committed to uplifting every voice regardless of race, gender, or socioeconomic status. In this crucial moment, remember that your vote is your voice. It is your power to shape the future of this nation. Let us use this power wisely and courageously. Our ballot forces Vice President Kamala Harris, a leader who stands for justice, equality, equity, and progress. Together, we can ensure that America continues to move forward and not backwards. This is why we must vote. Hashtag vote. Hashtag vote.org. Vote, ladies and gentlemen. Use your voice to vote in this election, November the 5th, 2024. And there's also early voting that you can utilize equally as well. All right? All right. Let us roll on and continue the program moving. And I tell you, I'm just so excited. And if you see me really moved and emotional, and even when you see my eyes are red, it's because I've been really just in an emotional place, because of a connection of unity and love and fellowship with a brother. And we'll get into all of that, but I just want to let you know this is a night that you don't want to miss. So I encourage you, ladies and gentlemen, to get your family, get your brothers, your sisters, your mother, your father, grandmother, grandfather, and get ready to experience a life-changing, dynamic episode of My Brother's Keeper. Okay? I know I normally share with you an African American moment with a person, but today you'll see why as the program goes on and why I am foregoing this moment. So, but anyway, if you would like to sponsor an African American moment, please contact us at mybrotherskeepertv@gmail.com or 240-432-5790, 240-432-5790 for sponsoring a African American moment. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, you see this brother over here with his African garb on, and he working the thing. And you know, as I know, that he's been with me on several episodes, and he has been moving and he's been working this thing with me. And not only one episode, but we couldn't finish and complete because he was giving a wealth of information and knowledge, and I had to introduce him and bring him back to you again. And here again, a second time. So here he is again today. But we're going to hold fast on that today. So I'm going to back up a little bit. But ladies and gentlemen, right now, Stephen W. Williams is back in the house with us again, a brother whom I've, even over the short segment of 2 episodes, grown to love, appreciate, and honor. I thank you, my brother.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you for coming and being a part of the My Brother's Keeper show. I definitely thank you so much for being a part of this show. So, if there's anything you want to share, you want to share anything before I'm gonna get ready to go to a short commercial, come back, and then you're gonna do something. But we're gonna let you give a holler to the wifey, to the family, and everybody, even in Ghana, everywhere, man, and just shout out.
Just shout outs and peace and blessings to our African family.
Yes.
First of all, to my queen, Candace Williams, and to the rest of the family, the African Century family. We love you. We're doing our thing. We get ready to go to work. So stay tuned. Also, family out there listening, we got a special guest that we're going to bring on the scene tonight that's going to help us connect the dots. So stay tuned and get ready.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll on to a commercial. So, after the commercial break, we pay the bills. We're going to come right back and we're going to introduce that special guest. I can't wait, and it is a blessing. So, definitely meet us back here in 2 and 2. See you soon.
They say successful African dynasties are a myth, and we lost our strength when we were torn from our heritage. That's what they say. We know a new generation of kings and queens in America are claiming their thrones. From scientists to activists, from educators to entertainers, we're changing the world. We see you, new kings and queens. We're one community that continues to beat the odds. And now, we're focused on our money. Rise up and make Black history today. It's time to unleash the king and queen in you. Get the card. Bank Black at oneunited.com. Proud member FDIC.
For more than 150 years, Morgan State University has positioned its graduates to grow the future and lead the world. Morgan students receive a world-class education, engage in meaningful research, and uplift their communities. Over 126 programs conveniently available online or on Morgan's beautiful campus. Designated the national treasure, there's something for everyone. Pursue your purpose. Progress in your passions. Achieve the promise of career fulfillment. Your Morgan experience awaits. Choose Morgan.
Welcome to Ghana. Go beyond the return to a home of a rich cultural heritage where nature is incredible. Adventure is everywhere and the people are warm. Go beyond to a home far from home. Visit
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back to the My Brother's Keeper television show. And as I promise you, I won't let you down on this night here. So as we come forth, and what we're going to do is allow Brother Stephen W. Williams, my brother from another mother, come on, and he's going to introduce our esteemed, honorable guests that we have before us on this evening.
Yes, sir. Well, let me start it off like this. It's pretty amazing what has transpired. That's why we know it's of divine proportion.
Yes, sir.
And we know the Almighty and the ancestors are engaged in this, even at this very interview this evening. Back in 2019, many of you all know about the Year of Return in Ghana. And there was a festival of chiefs in 2019 in July. They had a festival in Accra. And this chief was pretty bold.
Yes, sir.
He said, African Americans, he made a plea to us. He said, when you come to Ghana, why do you only come to the south, which is Accra? You go to Cape Coast, where the dungeons are, Elmina, or you go to the Ashanti region. He said, those aren't your people. That's not where you come from. You got to come from north, to the north. And we're like, the north? Because, it's only marketed Accra, Cape Coast, Kumasi, the Ashanti region. No disrespect to anybody, but that's just the truth.
Yes, sir.
So it was a delegation of us, including my wife and several others. We took a trip about 3 months later and went up to the north. When we got to Tamale, it takes 55 minutes to fly from Accra to Tamale, the capital city, which happens to be the fastest growing city in West Africa since 2016.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very awesome, clean, orderly, totally different atmosphere. But as we were driving to the different areas and driving straight paved roads, okay, we felt something in our spirit.
Yes, sir.
It was like us driving back in the country down south, where we might have been in deep part of South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
We felt that. You saw people outside waving. You just felt something. And we met a people that happened to be the older brother to this brother's people, called the Mamprusis. And we met the Nairi, which is known as the overlord. He's over top of the paramount chiefs.
Okay.
And when we met him, and it's not what you think, something that you will see in a fictitious movie like Wakanda, or you saw something like from Eddie Murphy's movie Coming to America, but you saw what could have been if our history wasn't interrupted.
Yes, sir.
And when we met this man, and we shared that some of the things that we wanted to do there, he said, listen, you're kith to kin. You're my people. And he never thought in his lifetime he'd see the children of his people that were taken away come back. Make a long story short, he said he was obligated to restore us, and restored us, and he did something pretty amazing to us. So a couple years later, I can't even remember how I met this man right here. And the connection is too amazing. He happens to live in Laurel, Maryland, married to a doctor who was born in the same hospital I was born in.
Wow.
Sinai Hospital in Baltimore.
Wow.
And he dropped some knowledge on us about the history connecting the dots. And we know him as Chief Charles Hamidu of the Dagomba people, specifically an area called Yendi. And I want to turn it over to him because the wealth of knowledge to connect the dots, because we often heard the propaganda that is spilled by the enemies of our people today and our ancestors that say, hey, Africans don't like us. We're not African. All the fake stuff to keep us divided and ineffective.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yet, there's a history that has not been told.
Yes, sir.
That in order for us to heal and to thrive and move forward effectively, we got to have some honest conversations, even if they're uncomfortable.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because we both, on both sides, have been victimized by the same people, the same systems, the same ideals.
Yes, sir.
But we must come together. So right now, I want to turn it over.
Well, but before we allow Chief to speak, I would like to say that we have constants, and we have variables.
Yes.
So the constant has been us.
Correct.
We here are in America, and variables have been, people who've been working against us, the Dutch, the British, who
The
colonized,
French.
the French, who have colonized. So understanding that point right there, I would like to say that we're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to share with you some important information. Please stay tuned, and when we come back, we will hear the Chief in 2 and 2. Be right back. Okay, I
Why
think we
Ghana?
should-
Why now? Why the northern region?
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
I'm going to be the most
Hamidu.
Shirazu.
Sarazu Amadou.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And again, we have Chief Charles Hamidu from the Dagomba. Let me get this right. The Dagomba, and the state in the northern region of Ghana. And he is also a chief. So right now, I just want to introduce him and welcome him to the show. And I just know that it's going to be a blessed time. So if you have your family around, just tune in and tap in. Put your hands on the pulse and to let you know that you're not alone. Because as I had an experience coming in, it was a welcoming, and as we embraced, tears began to fall down my face, and it moved me to a different perspective, a different place, and there was a connection and there was a love that flowed. And sometimes you never need words to express the love. It's just that connection because of the feeling of brother to brother. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the Chief.
Thank you so much,
Yes, sir.
Reverend Doctor.
Yes, sir.
My brother Stephen.
Yes, sir.
I'm very grateful and humbled to be here today with you. Brother Tim has been threatening to have me on for quite some time, and I guess his threat has come to pass.
Yes, sir.
But before we proceed, I would just like us to acknowledge the presence of the divine Creator, and also to acknowledge the presence of our beloved ancestors who are here with us, whether we know it or not. And having said that, it's important always to remember that because they were, we are. It's
Yes.
critically important that we always remember this. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm very humbled to be in your presence.
We are honored. We are honored to have you come and be a part of the My Brother's Keeper,
Yes.
because I am my brother's keeper. So, Brother Stephen, as the Chief is sitting with us on this day, talk to me. Narrate this piece as we go forward. I give it to you, brother.
Sure.
Tag team.
So his official name in the chieftaincy is Talina Sharazu Hamidu.
Yes.
And Chief, talk to us about your people in the historical backdrop of how it relates to us Africans of the diaspora, descendants of those that were enslaved.
Thank you for the segue. It's I've lived in the United States since 1987, and coming up as a young man, there's so much that I did not know, even about my own people.
Mm-hmm.
I was of royal birth, but I knew very little about the history of our people, the culture of our people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's only within the last 5 to 7 years, even preceding when I was made a chief, that I began to understand what, at least to this, how can I put it? I'm trying to be as tactful and diplomatic as possible, but to the extent that we know that there are certain gaps in the knowledge, I had to do my homework. I had to find out where I was from. I had to find out how I relate to my brothers and sisters in the diaspora, specifically in the United States. And what I discovered was that the slave trade was not just about, from the Western standpoint, the slave trade was about economics. But the slave trade on the continent was about the breakup of families. It was about the breakup of communities. It was about the breakup of whole nation states. The majority, I'm a keen student of history, and I can tell you that the majority of the captives that were taken from the North ended up in the Americas. Unfortunately, this is a history that is not really taught much in our schools, whether in Africa or here. But in Ghana specifically, a good portion, a significant portion of the slaves that were taken, the captives that were taken, came from the North. And Brother Stephen has been to the North, and he knows the North constitutes 3/5 of the landmass of Ghana. And the North remains the most underpopulated part of Ghana. And it's not just the North, it's the entire Savannah, and north of the Savannah, which is the Sahel, remains very much underpopulated.
To this day.
To this day. So,
And why, I don't mean to interrupt you, please forgive me. Underpopulated, why do you suppose?
well, it could be for any number of reasons, but a primary reason, we cannot gloss it over, we cannot ignore it, is that the population was gutted by slavery. And, you know, it's a painful subject. It's painful for those of us Africans who understand what really happened, and Africans in the diaspora that have an understanding of what happened. We cannot talk about it without admitting that we as Africans, some of our ancestors, were complicit in what happened in that diabolical enterprise called slavery. We were complicit. We cannot run away from it. We cannot sweep it under the rug. We must confront it. We must talk these painful truths. And hopefully, out of this catharsis, we can now start to rebuild family and community. I'm always very dismayed when I read articles or I see on social media chats the way in which our brothers and sisters, whether in the diaspora or on the continent, are constantly at each other's throats. But I understand where it's coming from. A lot of it is steeped in ignorance. We need to start learning about each other. We need to learn about ourselves first, and then we need to learn about each other. And until that happens, we will continue to have this disconnect.
And who wins when that occurs?
Well, I think we all know who wins.
Yes, sir.
I was speaking with a gentleman the other day about the global seismic changes that are occurring. The new centers of power that are emerging, that the global south and the east, the global east, is starting to exert a certain influence on geopolitics and geoeconomics. That this is not something that we as black people, people of African descent, need to shy away from. We need to take it very seriously. Because as these alignments happen, Africa is central to those alignments. Africa is central to those alignments. And so we need to wake up. We need to cast off these negative tendencies, which really are self-immolating. We benefit nothing from it. You did this, and you did that, and you did that. That's self-defeating.
Yes, sir.
The pain is real, it is deep. We must talk about it, but we must talk about it in an honest, in a mature, in an open, and in a heartfelt way. And once we're able to reach a point where we can begin to forgive each other, then we will see that level of growth, personal growth, community growth, and the growth of Africa to be the superpower that it should be, that it has always been destined to be.
Wow.
Africa continues to be, at least in the past 20 years, continues to be the last frontier
Yes.
when it comes to
100%.
business, when it comes to economic growth. It's the last frontier. There's nowhere else on earth. And with a population of 1.3, 1.4 billion people, that's a huge market. And as I said, I indicated earlier, all these realignments is all towards this end game. And that end game is to capitalize on the wealth and the riches of Africa.
I mean, because it's quite amazing because they give us a distorted picture of Africa. Even when they say send money to the children, you can send money to support Africa. What's that? For what it takes a cup of coffee for a week, and like $3.99 or something. I think it was Sally Struthers. My mind goes back, and she's talking to the people to tell them to send money for just a cup of coffee a day. You can support a child, and this one child with the belly and the fly going around, and people feel so compelled to send, and they give this against distorted view of the huts and all of Tarzan, but they give even African Americans here a distorted view picture of what Africa is. Talk to me about that.
Well, a lot of it is by design. My first career was as a broadcast journalist, and I saw firsthand the manner in which the media operates to vilify, to distort, to manipulate, using imagery, using sound bites to paint whole countries, whole regions, and whole continents a certain way. We understand what is behind that. The problem that we have is we haven't taken enough time to educate our people about who they are, who their cousins on the other side of the pond are.
Wow.
And until we begin to do that,
you talking, brother? You talking, man?
It's a fact. I mean, look, Africa. You know, when I was growing up, I've told Brother Stephen this story so many times. I admit I was privileged growing up back in Ghana, and through this privilege, we saw these images of our brothers and sisters here. They weren't necessarily positive images, but we wanted to identify. We had a desire to know who these people are, who they were, what are they about, how did they get there, and how do we link up with them. So I remember as a kid, 10, 11, we used to love going to the movies.
Oh, man.
And of course, we always made sure that every new blaxploitation movie that came out, we had to be there. So be it Shaft or Chuck Turner or whatever it is.
Did you just say Chuck Turner?
Yeah, he did. Isaac Hayes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, man.
Cleopatra Jones.
Yeah.
And the casino. We lapped it all up. And we wanted to be like these cats, Cooley High and so. The other day I was wearing a Kangol and I laughed to myself because I remember we used to call Kangols Cooley Highs based on based on that movie, Cooley High. So the love and the desire, when a child loses a parent, and not to death, but through separation, it doesn't matter how long it takes. That child wants to find out where that parent is. What is that? That is a spiritual bond that cannot be severed. It doesn't matter how far you take the father or the child away, there's always that hunger, that yearning to to reconnect. And I believe this is what we have been experiencing.
In what you just stated, that yearning, that desiring, that wanting, do you think that it is a desiring, because again, say, we in America have a hunger and a desire, a thirst, and so that thirst comes out so much that without young African Americans, even older young adults, never having experienced the dance movements, that whole movement of music, that movement of the drum. Do you think that that's part of the yearning, the desire?
It goes without saying.
Connect us.
It goes without saying that spiritual element, that bond remains.
Yes, sir.
I get very upset when I hear continental Africans speak in derogatory ways or manners about brothers and sisters here. Because, especially on the topic of culture, because as I said, we grew up admiring Black American culture. Whether it's music, whether it's dance, whether it's the food, whatever it is.
Soul Train. I know y'all watch Soul Train.
We watched all of that.
Yeah.
So when I hear those kinds of comments, Black Americans have no culture. Where is this coming from? It's clearly an ignorance. And
That's been given to us.
That's been given to us because the truth of the matter is that during my time in basic school and in high school back home, there was never, ever, not even a paragraph about our people here in the diaspora.
Wow.
There wasn't.
You know something, Chief and Brother Mike? That is so real. This is why growing up in a mixed cultural setting, most of the African American students hated history because the only mention of Africa started with slavery, or they showed kids, like you said, impoverished, a Care commercial with Sally Struthers, like you mentioned, and we were ashamed of it. And we didn't want to identify with Africa because Africa was always shown down below, but yet the whole world needs Africa.
Absolutely.
So, so this leads to my question to you.
Wow.
Korean Americans are proud to boast that they're Korean, even if they're second, third, fourth generation Korean Americans, because of the greatness of what Korea is today. Same with Japanese, etc.
Yes, sir.
And many African Americans don't even want to identify as Africans, whether through some propaganda, through religion, propaganda through some social construct, or whatever. They don't want to identify. Is there, in your opinion, a direct relationship to the evolution of Africa and the evolution of the consciousness of the African? Because even after living there, my wife and I living in Ghana for 7 years, there are many Ghanaians that want to flee because they're almost ashamed of being African, to the point of people bleaching their skin and all this other stuff. So my point is, do you see a direct relationship with the evolution of Mother Africa and her children?
That evolution can only happen when her children wake up. I'm aware that there are some brothers and sisters in the diaspora who are so ashamed of being African that they opt for the pre-Columbus visit or settlement in the United States. There's nothing wrong with that, because if you go 1,000 years or 2,000 years ago, there were Africans all over the world.
That's
all
right.
over the world, all over the globe.
We taught the world how to travel.
Absolutely. But you cannot escape the reality and the fact that they originated from
That's
Africa.
right.
So whether they were pre-Columbus or post-Columbus, they are still Africans. Now, the whole world sees the opportunity. They see what Africa can be. They see what Africa has. But us, we don't see it.
Could it be because it's been distorted and we bought into the illusion of what they want us to see, which is nothing? And so China, French, everyone else is there pillaging Africa from her resources, but yet still what they give us is something that's so disconnected, so that I don't want to be considered because it's a part of a losing team.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
And so we equate that with America, right? So we say, okay, well, I've been a Commanders and I've been a Washington Redskin fan for a long time. Don't laugh at me, Chief. Don't laugh. Don't laugh at me, man.
I'm a Cowboy, man. What can I say?
And I'm a Ravens fan.
But we just drew the line. No, we drew the line there because we got a love-hate relationship. I love to hate them. So you can understand. So therefore, you're a part of that team, but you love. But that's what you've been shown.
Sure.
Because you've grown to love, the underdog in a sense, because it's been given to you, portrayed to you. It's been just basically glossed over, and so I'm a Commander fan, so I believe, I don't know whether I'm black, I'm African American, whether, I'm just here, or, I'm Hebrew, or, we take on all these identities so that we say, okay, we're these, other than what the Caucasians call it. You know what I'm saying? So that we won't identify, but deep down inside, we're just a disconnected people that have been disconnected from their land, their God, and so therefore it's like, wow. So how do I get back in a place that I can connect?
And let me add to your question.
You overloading them? Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
It's right on point, because we see this awakening taking place amongst Africans worldwide, especially with our youth, declaring, hey, listen, we're tired of colonial powers. We're tired of sellout leadership.
That's a wake-up
We're tired
call.
of cronies.
Go ahead, Doc.
We're going to take it back by any means necessary. And we're seeing a coup d'etats taking place, not agitated by the power structures that colonized them.
Man.
But we're seeing the youth saying, enough's enough. So you mentioned something earlier today. In light of his question, where does the African American fit in to this movement of the evolution of Africa historically and now?
Very important question, and the answer can be found in our recent history. Africa could never have become independent, quote unquote, but for the agitation of the brothers and sisters in the diaspora. This is a known and proven fact. The Du Boises, the Marcus Garveys, the Kwame Tures, and so on and so forth. It was their agitation calling out the double standard. You talk about freedom here, but there's no freedom for us. You want these countries to be free, but you're okay with the exploitation and the colonization, the neo-colonization, I should say, that continues to prevail. The truth is, there has been the absence of a continuum of leadership, and not just here, but on the continent. There's been an absence of that leadership. I think the last wave of conscious, moral-based leadership died with the Kwame Ture's, the Miriam Makeba's, the Harry Belafonte's, and so on and so forth. Who else do we have?
Right.
On the continent, the Kwame Nkrumahs, the Modibo Keitas, the
Patrice
Patrice
Lumumba's.
Lumumba's, and of course, most recently, the Gaddafis. They're gone.
Hey, Chief, you blowing me, because it's like many of those instances, it's like, okay, I'm here in America. I look at what's being given to me, and I receive what's being given, but I do my homework to research to understand the movement of this animal called where we are. And it's like, wait a minute, you shift leadership from a white man to a black man. Can we just be real?
With the same
Can we just be
mindset.
real?
Come on.
Absolutely.
But it has the same mindset, but understand that even with the conversation that he had, that Gaddafi had with Farrakhan about backing the movement with gold, but then is a movement over here to counter the movement of what Gaddafi was doing. You got free education, you get $60,000, $70,000 and free land, and he's moving with you married and starting a family. So therefore, it's like, wait a minute, you see real freedom in what he was sharing, but then you counter it over here, and then you move from a white place to a black place, but still the same mindset of that place. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute.
And those are great questions.
And then you kill what real freedom is.
Absolutely. And the other question should be, okay, so it's okay for the Emiratis, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Oman, and Qatar, and all those places to do what they do. But in Africa, for that to be done is anathema.
You got to ask, what are they afraid of?
Chief, can I just say this? Let me just get this off right quick. Let me just share this right quick. I just believe that over from Dubai, Saudi, all that space, I believe they're sending a Trojan horse to America. And it's coddled in the niceties to get us drunk, get us high, to get us entertained. And so then that thing gonna spring up and bite us right in the butt. But they don't see it. But as long as they can keep their foot on supposedly the neck of.
Well, that's why I talked about the realignment of power centers. Everybody has their own interests.
Chief, we got to talk. We got to talk, man.
Everyone has their own interests. We don't have our interests. You know, when we get serious and we put on our big boy and big girl pants and we say, you know what, let's get to work. We need to define for ourselves what our most critical interests are.
Wow.
Here in America, I am not one of those who says, you know what, pack all your bags and come back to Africa. Because then what was the purpose of the suffering, of the pain, of the death of the ancestors here? They were here, and this brings me to the Joseph story. Right? So we need to recognize there's always a divine cause and effect, a divine order. And this is not to justify. I could never possibly justify what happened. However, I was told by an elder once, he said, when someone hits you over the head with a stick or whatever, if you can overcome the pain of what just happened to you and take a moment to think about what just happened, what transpired, what caused that to happen, then you realize that that person actually did you a favor. Now, I don't want this to be misconstrued. I don't want it to be misconstrued. But when you look at the level of education, the level of technology, the level of economic capacity in Black America. And just imagine for a moment that even a fraction of that was transshipped back to Africa.
My goodness.
With the resources that are in Africa.
Come on,
what
Chief.
in 1 or 2 generations could happen. That is mind-blowing.
Just how much, Chief? Just a fraction?
Just a fraction. It's mind-blowing. You made a very important comment. You said, well, the Chinese and all these other people are jumping into the continent and grabbing. But they also see the same images that we see here and everywhere else in the world. But they've gone beyond just the images. They've gone to see, what is it about the place that we keep getting the same imagery of woe and doom? And they've pushed through that veil. And they are making themselves billions of dollars every year. Literally, billions of dollars. We need to wake up. We need to wake up. We need to acknowledge the hard work that was done by so many of our founders, and recognize that the baton has been dropped. It was handed over, but it was dropped. We saw what happened in the relay, the U.S. team. The baton was not handed over right, and the consequence is a loss.
It was dropped. You know what? The powerful conversation, powerful dialogue. I think that 45 minutes is not enough. And I don't even think an hour or 2 hours is enough. And I would like to extend an invitation to come back and just talk and just share. I mean, and even something that is not even scripted, but to just share. Organic, because I'm your brother Joseph, who was sold into slavery. I need my history. So you released to me some resources. So you released to me my history. And so I'm connected in America. I understand some resources and how to maneuver. And again, we win. Absolutely. And who loses? So again, I want to invite you back.
I'll be very happy. I'll be honored to return. And there's so much to discuss. There's so much to share. I am by no means a repository of all the knowledge about our people, but the little that I have, I'm willing to share with a lot of gratitude for what has been passed on to me.
Thank you, and I'm honored that you would come and be a part and to even share your story and your knowledge of what you have with me and the listening audience. And as I stated before, even as when I met you coming into the studio, there was something that happened. It was something that shifted, that my spirit just bore witness with who you are. And to me, it was a safety, it was a security, and then it was a release of empowering. And I want to say thank you. Because again, until we connect with the realness of who we are, we're going to continue to be in a low place and allow others to win over us. And I believe that time is over. His time is over. His time is done. Because when our brothers begin to really love on each other the right way, I ain't talking about nothing crazy and you know, out there in left field. I'm talking about men engaging because of what was lost. But we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to ourselves for its legacy.
Yes.
Its legacy, because when I begin to embrace my brother who is a chief, who is of royalty, we begin to connect.
Absolutely.
your wisdom begin to flow in me, and my love flow in you.
And
We become empowered.
My brother, I feel your pain, and your pain is my pain. And we must do something about this.
Yes, sir.
As you said, this legacy, it's about the children, those who are with us and those who are to come.
Yes, sir. Yes,
They
sir.
will take this to the next level.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
Brother Stephen, thank you so much.
100%.
Brother Stephen, thank you for connecting the dots. And
Yes,
I couldn't
sir.
help but give Brother Tim, wherever Brother Tim is. Where's Brother Tim? Brother Tim, he's in the house. And I thank Brother Tim so much for sharing the relationships. And because, again, until we begin to open up with one another, talk with one another, then we're just moving haphazardly under a different space and allowing others to dictate to us who we should be, what we should be, because we already have an understanding of who we are. But when we connect to our own brothers and sisters from the motherland that's calling us, and it's just amazing, because again, I'm just really moved at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and give you, Brother Stephen, thank you so much for joining us tonight, man. I am really just in a different space, but go ahead, brother, give the audience some love, man. And
Love you all. And if evolution is to be, is up to we. It wasn't just common folk that were taken away. It wasn't slaves that were taken away
Captives.
and brought to America. It was captives who happened to be chiefs, queen mothers, engineers, doctors, athletes, millionaires, billionaires, etc., innovators, inventors. That's you, that's me, that's we. Let's rise together. Let's rise together as one.
all right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining in tonight. I told you that this was something that you would not want to miss. Hey, if you miss it, you can definitely go back and review it, and go to our My Brother's Keeper YouTube channel to review it again, because it was something powerful. It is something powerful. Hey, I love you, and I pray that you will go back, rewatch it over and over again, because it definitely blessed my spirit, and it's about connecting with our brothers and sisters where we are. So, hey, always be good to the people on the way up, the same ones you're going to meet on the way down. I love you. The listening guests, the guests that are here, Chief and Brother Stephen, we love you. We thank you for listening in tonight. I'm just messed up right now, ladies and gentlemen, but thank you for tuning in tonight. God bless you, and see you next week. My Brother's Keeper, every Tuesday at 7 p.m. God bless you. See you on the other side of greatness. Thank you so much for tuning in.
I'm talking to you with all that melanin popping. Listen, I know there are a lot of misconceptions out there about ancestry tests, and we'd like you to get to know us. We're African Ancestry, and we are the only ancestry company designed by Black people, for Black people. The only ancestry company that can provide the actual African country of origin and ethnic group. Founded in 2003 by Dr. Rick Kittles.
Hello.
And Dr. Gina Page.
Hi there.
With over 30,000 samples, African Ancestry has the largest and most comprehensive database of DNA of African lineages. I'm talking Yoruba, Ashanti, Mende, Fong, and more. They can't do it, they can't do it, and they can't do it. Sure, they can tell you you're from Africa. Africa. The 54 countries that make up 11,677,239 square miles of one of the Earth's largest continents, Africa! Africa! But if others can know that they're from Ireland, England, Spain, or Sweden, shouldn't you be able to trace your roots to a specific country and tribe? Shouldn't you be able to connect to the beliefs, practices, and customs of your people? How powerful would that be? And unlike those guys, African Ancestry never researches, sells, or shares your DNA. We destroy it. In other words, we're only using your DNA to tell you where you're from, and we won't tell anyone else about you either. I see you thinking over there. To find your tribe and discover who you truly are, take the right test. Go to AfricanAncestry.com.
At Giants, when budgets are tight, we keep our communities knit even tighter with every way to save on all the meals you crave all winter long. Giants, this is home.
Sports is what we do. It's the fast track at peak speed, moving across the ice, blockers, hitters, B-team, beatdowns, and knockouts, doubleheaders, playoffs, touchdowns, smackdowns, on the mat or on the track. The spirit of a champion. The triple-double. Make that double front flip. This is what we do.